Morning everyone, welcome to the Mindset, Marketing and Money podcast. Yes, this has evolved into a proper podcast. And today I want to talk about how to move forward imperfectly. So obviously this is only the second episode of this podcast. It started out as an audio note and I started it on Substack, and the whole thing made it so easy that I decided to actually bring it out as a podcast and submit it to like the podcast directories like Apple, Spotify, etc. Now you might be thinking, well, is it a proper podcast? Because there's no kind of fancy music at the beginning. There's no intro. There's just me saying who I am. In fact, I didn't even say who I am. My name's Alison Wood and I'm from nichelifesuccess.com. So there you go, you see, it's imperfect. I'm just kind of going along, I'm saying what I need to say, and I'm just getting it out there. So why today am I talking about how to move forward imperfectly? Well, the thing is, I actually had a previous podcast and I really enjoyed that at the very start of it. I love audio. I've got a face for radio, as they say. So I enjoy putting things out on audio. It's so much more relaxed. I love listening to audio, as I said last week, because I think you get more of a connection with someone on audio. However, running the previous podcast kind of wore me down. I was weighed down by the editing process. It took so long, maybe because I'm not like an expert at it. All the uploading, all the adding music, fade in, fade out, all of that. And of course, that gives a great experience for the listener. However, it may be something that I add on as things go along if people enjoy this, if they enjoy listening. And I need to test that out first. And that's probably one of the key things when you move forward imperfectly, is that you don't have to know all the answers. You don't have to know how this whole thing is going to end up. Maybe it will go well, maybe it won't go so well, maybe it will evolve as you go along. So that's a key thing as we're talking through this. You don't need to know everything right at the very start. So why I've come back to doing a podcast is that I really missed the audio side, but I wanted to be much more spontaneous about it. So yes, I'm fine with putting things out consistently every week, but what I didn't want to do was, because I'm super busy, because I have a lot of other things going on, I didn't want that to eat hours of my time every week. I just wanted to do this and see how it went. So I decided to just get started. So if you're listening to this podcast, if you join me and subscribe, I hope you do, you might find that the podcasts vary in length. Some will be shorter, some will be longer, depending what I'm going to talk about. The key areas that I love to talk about are running a business or a side hustle, the marketing side of that, social media, blogging, list building. I've been running a business since 2009 and full-time since 2012. And for my clients, I do like all the tech side, the integration, the marketing side. So I wanted to share some of that. I also love talking about mindset, how we can move ourselves forward, because I think a huge part of running a business is that whole mindset area. We talk ourselves out of things, we set ourselves back. And I think if we give support to each other, we can help move each other forward. If we realise that other people, even people who found success, are still scared, are still worried about what's going to happen, are still doubting themselves, I think that can really help us to realise that we don't have to be this perfect person to make strides forward. So that's why I'm back here talking to you and hoping that you'll follow along. So today, as I said, I want to talk about how to move forward imperfectly. So I've got some tips, some steps of how to take imperfect action. And that can be for anything. I mean, I'm mostly here talking about business, but I mean, it could be something else, in your own personal life, anything really that you want to move forward on, but you're holding yourself back, you're doubting yourself. Should I do this? Should I move forward? Now, I'm not saying that with everything we have to kind of rush straight into it, and that is actually my first point. And it is, when you think of something that you want to do, just take a beat, take a step back and think it through. I am a person that loves shiny new objects, shall we say. I love to put a new website out there, and because I can do all the tech side, it's relatively easy to put a new blog up. But the question is always, is it the best thing to do? Have I already got too much on my plate? So that's my own kind of not error exactly, but it's something that I have to bear in mind when I move forward with things. I still often do them because it's either something I really enjoy or I want to get into. But that is the first thing to think about. If you think about you want to do something, is this just like something that's passed through your mind and you're going to dive straight in? Or is it something that you've been thinking about for a while? Because I think you do need to kind of weigh up whether it is something that you want to do. And also, more importantly, is it something that you're going to be able to commit to for the longer term? So when I first, as I said, put a podcast out before, I think I did about, 20 or 30 episodes. So I did it for a while, but it was not the actual podcasting itself, as I said, it was everything that surrounded it. So the reason I've stepped back into this is because I knew that I wanted to do audio, but I didn't want all those additional things. I just wanted to record an audio. I'm just doing this on my phone. I wanted to upload it and I wanted it to be out there. Good or bad, imperfect or perfect, it will never be perfect, but you get my meaning. So I've evolved in that. Maybe if I never got started with the podcast, the initial podcast, maybe I wouldn't be doing this now. So there's no harm in doing something, then realizing that it's not quite right for you, or, not working for you in the best way that it can. And I took a break and it's evolved and I've come back, and we'll see how this goes. Again, taking pressure off yourself. If you decide that it isn't for you, you can always pivot, you can always change your mind, you can always do something different. And that takes a lot of pressure off you once you realise that, because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be the thing that you do for the next 20 years. However, when you're going into it, I do think you need to be able to give it a good enough chance. You need to do it for a while, see how it goes, see how you're getting on. So that is the first thing. When you think of something you want to do, just take a little bit of a breathing space, come back to it in a few days. Is it something that you do still want to do? Now, you might be the other side of this and you've been thinking about doing something for absolutely ages, but the fear of it is putting you off. I'm a little bit like that in that I want to write fiction. I've started 2 books. And it is the whole fear of it that puts me off kind of carrying on and finishing. Fear that I'm not going to be good enough, I guess. That is the underlying thing. So I totally understand that. That might be your fear, that you're not going to be good enough. But again, another tip is to think about, how are you going to feel in 6 months if you didn't do what you wanted to do, or a year's time? How are you going to feel then? Sort of project yourself forward. And think about, if you're looking back, whatever the thing is that you want to do, would you be sad that you hadn't moved forward? Or would you think, actually, perhaps it wasn't right? Now, if it's the latter, maybe that's telling you that this isn't the right thing to do. If it's the former and you think that you would feel sad that you hadn't done it, then that gives you a further incentive to move forward. So that's the first thing. Decide if it is definitely something you want to do. Don't rush in at the first thought of something. Do give it a little time to kind of percolate. But if it's something that's been on your mind a long time and it's more the fear that's holding you back, then move forward and maybe these next steps will help. So if it's still something that you want to do, figure out how you can do it with the path of least resistance. So my example here is this podcast. I decided to do away with the worrying about the audio, worrying about the fade in, the fade out. I'm simply going to record the audio, add it to Substack, let it ping out to the other areas where people can listen to podcasts. Obviously share it because you need to get some people listening to it, but I'm not going to have to make it perfect for myself. Now that might totally work against me. People might not want to listen because it isn't kind of whizzy, it doesn't have all those additions. And as I said, I'm not saying that I won't add those things in later on, but I need to prove to myself that I'm going to do it consistently and keep moving forward. So figure out what is your path of least resistance. Do you want to start a blog? Do you want to start a side hustle? Do you want to write a book? Do you want to get products on Etsy? Whatever it is, look at the different steps and think about how you can do it and make it easy for yourself. Is it that you need some training? Is it that you need someone to help you? Is it that you need to spend time kind of looking into it? But don't let that put you off forever. There has to come a time when you do actually start and take those first steps forward. But when I say the path of least resistance, what I'm saying is you don't have to be perfect. Let's say you're going to start a blog. So you get the blog set up. Don't think to yourself, you have to know every single thing. You don't have to have written 28 posts before you get started. You don't have to have set up every social media channel. Just get the blog up and start the first post. And from there, build on it. Know that you're going to be posting regularly. Know that you can add in Facebook or Instagram later on or Pinterest. But just get started because it's that starting that is going to take you forward. So, as I say, get started and know that you can always evolve as you go. You do not have to have all the answers up front. And there's a lot to be said for not having all the answers because it can take us spinning off in a million different directions. You just need to know what you need to know right now. So let's go back to that example of blogging. Get the blog up, get your first post out there. You don't need to think about, well, what's going to happen when I've got 100 posts? Do I have to make sure that this is done in a certain way? Obviously, get some training, look around, find some people that can help you, research on YouTube, different people's guides, or actually go on a training course, whatever you need to do to help you. But don't think you're going to know every single answer, and don't compare yourself to someone that's been blogging 5 years and has obviously knows what's going on. I've got, hundreds of posts on their blog, are making lots of money. Use that to inspire you, but don't feel like you have to be the same as that person, because I promise you that when they were first starting out, they were not the whiz that they are now, and it took time for everything to build up. So the biggest thing I can say to you is once you've started, things tend to snowball and gather momentum, and you will never know what those things are until you get started. You will never know what's going to happen further down the line because you're just not out there in the game. You're not taking your first steps. And as you take your first steps, things tend to kind of appear for you, and then you can take the next step and the next step. But you won't even know what those steps are when you're first getting your first step taken. You'll only know once you've been going a while and when you know how things are going and what you're doing. The other thing I would say is to get an accountability partner. So I've been working with someone amazing since May, and each week we hop on just WhatsApp and we give each other how we've done in the previous week and 3 things that we're going to focus on in the next week. And that's made a huge difference to me. It may not be that every week I get done all the things that I said, but it makes me recognise how much I have done in the week. Even weeks that have not been that great, I've usually done something, even if it's not the 3 things on my list. And I can say to myself, no, I didn't get those 3 things done, but I did do this, and this is what I needed to move me forward. It also, as you're talking on WhatsApp, it kind of connects things up in your mind, and it helps you to just coalesce what you're thinking about and helps you to take steps forward. I think the other person hearing you, even if you're not talking directly to each other at the same time, helps you. It gives you a bit more confidence as well. You know that the other person has their struggles, the other person, is taking steps too. You're both taking steps, and that helps you to keep moving forward because you're going to have to check in the next week. But it also helps you to realise that we're all in the same situation, where we all have the same doubts and fears. So just, find someone. Maybe it's an existing friend, or maybe it's someone you connect with in a Facebook group, or, often in groups, they'll be like, do people want to sort of buddy up and be an accountability partner to each other, or just put it out there and see if anyone connects with you. Lots of different ways that you can do that. So those are my steps, really. So the first thing is to take a beat, make sure that what you want to do is something that you can commit to for the longer term. If you know that it's still what you want to do, decide what is the path of least resistance for you. Then get started and evolve as you go. You don't have to have all the answers up front, and it's probably better that you don't have all the answers sometimes, because you would perhaps not get started. Know that once you have started, things tend to snowball, gather momentum. Get an accountability partner if you can, but don't let that put you off starting. You don't have to have an accountability partner right now. That is just a nice addition, but don't let that put you off starting. Just get started anyway. So if you're on the fence right now, what's one step that you could take today towards what you want to do? And it might be a tiny, tiny step. Think of it now. What is the one thing that you could do, the very first thing you need to do to get started, and take a little step towards that today? Do that step, or get that information, or find out what you need to do next. And then the next day or the next week, just write down 3 things that could move you forward. And they don't have to be huge things. They can be tiny steps. But if you have something if you've got a to-do list, or however you do it, in your journal, what are those 3 steps that you're then going to take in the next week? And then do those 3 things. And I would make them small steps. You don't want to set yourself up for failure by making sure that, they're huge things that you need to do. Make sure they're tiny steps, but they're achievable steps. And lastly, I'll just say that this December, I am running an event. So it's an online event. It's training in a lot of areas of marketing, mindset. We're also having like a live planning party for the year ahead, where we review what we've done in 2023 and we look ahead to 2024, obviously with some guidance on the kind of things that I assess and how I set my goals for the next year. So if you do want to join me for that, it is, as I say, ongoing from the 13th of December to the 24th. There's 12 days of training, but you don't have to do them all now before Christmas. They'll all be available to you onwards and into the new year, so you can come back to the training at any point. But there's a lot of value in there. I've really added a lot into this. So if that's helpful to you, it is a pay what you want event, just starting at $1. Obviously, if you can pay a bit more, it helps to support other people going through the event. So if you want to check that out, just head to Alison M. Wood, so Alison mformarywood.com/12, as in 1-2 days, 12 days. That's all for today. I hope this has been helpful. I hope you join me on my quest to have a very stripped back, no frills podcast, at least for the short term. Maybe we'll see how that evolves over the long term. Thanks so much for listening. If you liked this, please do subscribe, and I'll be back with the next podcast soon.